It's indeed our pleasure to have you on News Hub, and this is open day. I did say earlier on that it's your day where you're free to call in and be part of the program. We'll be taking a look at the three top stories for the week, which are governors and citizens' participation, which we discussed earlier in the week. We will also be taking a look at terrorism in the country, as well as electricity tariff, the planned hike in the month of July. And also, we'd like for you that when you call in, that you turn down the volume on your television set so that we can have some sane conversation right here in the studios. Isn't it my pleasure to welcome you to the studios today, our guest, Toye Sobande. Toye, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you.
What's your view of the state of the nation? Where are we, generally speaking?
It's been an overwhelming time in our nation, quite overwhelming. We've never, at a point in our history, needed inspiration as much as people need it right now. It's overwhelming, down to the minutest details. When people wake up, they wake up into uncertainties. Whilst we say Nigerians are a resilient people, we've learned to embrace uncertainties, but everybody has their breaking point, and I think that's the point we are in right now. And the consequent effect of that is that it shows up in every other aspect of our lives, from insecurity to extreme poverty to life expectancy in the reduction, to the purchasing power, to hunger, to inability to even pursue self-actualization and fulfillment.
At all.
It's such an overwhelming time. So this is the season where we need to be kind to one another. This is the season where we need to speak words of encouragement to one another. Then maybe start with you, speak it to yourself first, because you can't give what you don't have. When you have to encourage yourself in the midst of all the uncertainties and all the sad news. And this is also the season to sieve the information you have for your own mental balance. So probably reduce the volume of bad news and try to look deliberately away from bad news. Not to show, I'm not saying we shouldn't show empathy for, incidences that are, but for your own mental health check.
It could be easier for you people that are not in the media, but we have to suck everything in.
I was thinking of you as I was saying that. I was thinking of you as I was saying that.
When we were taught that they said bad news was news, good news was just normal, so to speak. Now we're trying to change the narratives when good news actually should be news, so it can help people's mental capability. Thank you so much, Toye, for that opening remarks. Now, let's talk about governors and citizens' participation. Many people will be like, the leaders. And I believe, like, were they drawn from the moon or from the Mars or from
it's
Pluto?
Interesting.
Okay, you draw leadership from the followership most of the times. And so when we talk about governance and citizens' participation, what would you give us an overview of what's been happening, especially since 1999 till now?
The question I'm asking people who talk about the failure of the leadership of this nation is, I ask them, what leadership capacity did we identify in those who are currently occupying offices before we elected them? What is our understanding of the subject of leadership? Because the average person imagines or considers leadership to be a position. So when somebody occupies an office, in our thinking, the person is a leader. No, there's a difference between being a president and being a leader. The president is a nomenclature. The governor is a nomenclature, is a role. However, embedded in that role are leadership responsibilities. So, between those who are being governed and those who are in governance, what is their understanding of the concept of leadership? What do they know leadership to be? I personally, because I'm running a PhD program in strategic leadership, and a part of your thesis development is to give your own definition of leadership. So I came up with my own definition of leadership, and I said leadership is taking responsibility for the lives of the relationships around you, for the lives of others and the relationship that your life is involved in. So just in one word, leadership is it's taking responsibility. So when we don't have people who have the knowledge or the understanding of what leadership is and the responsibility that comes with taking up a leadership role, we cannot demand from them what they don't have. You can only give what you have. So it would be unfair for us to ask somebody who did not go to a flying school why he's not able to drive, or why he's not able to fly a plane, or somebody who does not have a driver's license, who has not learned how to drive, and the person gets on the road and it starts the car and is moving, the best the person is doing is to move the car. The person is not driving.
So what you're saying would suggest that maybe we're not paying adequate attention to even the selection process, which unfortunately in this part of the world is exclusively reserved of the political parties.
Yes.
When political parties begin to conduct primaries and they begin to consult with each other as to who would fly the flag of the party for this, the people are not taken into consideration. And so we are left with choosing from
I agree.
whatever we have.
But if I am to blame anyone, if I am to put blame on anyone in terms of the irresponsibility we have in the leadership and governance of this nation, I will blame the people. Do you know why I'm saying that?
No.
It's not because those guys decided to take the power, that's why they have the power. It's because you decided to give to it. Nature's abhors vacuum. If you do not take responsibility for your life, someone else will take responsibility for it.
Do you belong to a political party?
At the moment, no.
Why
But
not? Because
maybe
you should be
no,
the governor now, and you're not part of the political
I'm going
party.
there. I'm going there. Why I said no is because I'm expecting my party card to come out. As at this morning, it has not come out. I've gone to.
Okay, you've actually registered.
I've submitted my registration for a political party.
Okay, so you are valid to be on this show, so we can talk about it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if I had said yes, you asked me for my card, but I wanted to be careful and said, okay, you know what? Until my card comes out, I deliberately pursued. I went to all the nooks and crannies where they were doing registration to get registered.
Are you not
It was
saying
difficult to get registered in the political party. I know what I went through.
Share
I had to call somebody who was powerful, high up there, to get me the guys who are in charge of the registration. And it's deliberate. They don't want people like us in the political parties.
But we had so many parties, right, guys? We had that they were asking for people to join them,
It's
that the
true.
more the merrier and everything.
It's true. They
So
said
why would it cumbersome for you?
It's showmanship.
And it was cumbersome for you to
I
get.
can't say some things on air that I've discovered because I did my own investigation.
Why don't you share your story? Why don't you share your story?
This is it. I grew up from a politically conscious family.
Okay.
My father had a very huge library. And one of the...
Sobande of Ogun State, of Abeokuta?
Yeah, some Sobandes are from
Go
Abeokuta.
ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
he has a very huge library.
Okay.
And one of the beauty of the library is that I read a lot about the Nigerian history, from the Civil War to why we struck, to Ojuku's autobiography, to Nnamdi Azikwe's, to Awolowo's autobiography. In 1963, a newspaper publication was issued to celebrate Segun Awolowo, who became the first international lawyer Nigeria produced. My mom, for very many years, kept that newspaper and gave it to me when I was in primary 3 to read. That newspaper that I read informed my decision to want to go to school and study law and become an international lawyer.
Are you a lawyer today?
Yes.
All right.
I've worked in England for a while, practiced, I've been to a couple of places. Now I'm more into consulting project now because that's my passion. It doesn't stop me being a lawyer, but I'm just saying now that somebody invested into me with knowledge, information. The people in Nigeria today, how informed are we about the history of Nigeria and the governance system in Nigeria, such that we can challenge those in leadership? We are not informed. The best we do is to have beer parlor conversations, read newspapers, and get misinformed on social media. We don't even know the details of what it entails to run governance in this country. We don't. I just launched a school of governance. It was in the newspaper on Monday.
All right.
As part of my project, because of my passion.
All right. You and some other Nigerians too that we've seen, some had come on this show, some you get to read about them all over the country, seem to show some commitment towards ensuring that they change the face of politics and politicking in the country. But the truth of the matter is, many people still ask the question that, have we been able to understand or define the kind of politics that suits us as a people, rather than the adoptions from maybe the US, UK, and other parts of the world to fit into our democracy? Your opinion? Yes.
However, we can't jump to that question yet until we agree on where we are headed, until we agree on a vision for Nigeria. What is the vision for Nigeria? Every organization comes with vision statement, mission statement, the value system. What are the vision statement and the value systems for Nigeria?
So what's in the pledge? Or what's in the coat of arms? What are the things in the national?
They are there. But how many people pay attention to it? But when we want to engage ministers and appoint ministers and present them to the House of Assembly, They can't even read the pledge. They can't even recite the national anthem. It shows once they can't recite it, that means they don't even know what the value systems are.
Only a few of them.
Only a few.
Only of them
Only.
don't know.
So trickle down that effect, that orientation down to the masses. Let me give you a typical example that people don't focus on. Let's take a man who has a family, the way he runs his home. If he runs his home in an autocratic, irresponsible manner, he does not respect his wife, does not give her honor, disrespects her in front of his children, speaks to her, bring her down, and the kids are watching, emulating that man. The kids take that orientation to the school. They go to school because they've been used to a value system that is abusive. So they relate with their colleagues in school from an abusive perspective, from an abusive orientation. Take that child as he grows, take him out of that school, that orientation, he grows with it. He takes it to the society. He takes it to the workplace. Now, that child now goes into politics. What do you expect?
All right. You were talking about history. Some would look at it, if I'm thinking like a student that I always am, like if you're talking about this at this point, it will suggest that history could even be damaging than helping people. One moment, Toye,
okay,
that history may be damaging when people hear bad things or evil things, right? You know what I mean? That been orchestrated against them in the past, and that could feel some anger that may not help them towards nation building. However, that would now be like, okay, that's the reason why we're saying history should be, expunged from our curriculum, so that Nigerians, the new Nigerians, could have a mentality of the new Nigeria.
It's not helping. It's not helping. If you don't know your family history, you don't have a sense of belonging to the family.
And so if the family history tells you that your father beat your mom, and so that is what you have.
Then I should learn how best to be a father and a husband.
Or you still want to know that happened?
I need to know. I need to know what kind of mentality he had for him to have arrived at that kind of lifestyle. Can't he do better? You see, to be informed is the most important thing in anyone's life. If you are not informed, they say you'll be deformed. And they said information is the baseline for transformation. So information, whether it's positive or negative, is needed. Is needed. We need it.
All right. You know that conversation, that argument is something that neither side would ever win, so to speak.
You raised the point, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Look at our brothers from the East.
History.
We can't cover up that history, no matter how we run away from it. I lived in Owerri for a while, and I worked there. And my experience is beautiful, or was beautiful. I don't have a direct... The average family in this country is imbued with negativity about other tribes. And
from the past? From
the past, of what is not necessarily true, of hand-down information that is not even true.
How do we reconcile these sides? One voice we're saying, let history come, let's understand. Another voice we're saying, let's start a new Nigeria.
You have to reconcile. That's why in other parts of the world where they decided to move forward, like South Africa and Rwanda, they set up Truth and Reconciliation Committee. What is the essence of the truth? What is the essence of the reconciliation? Somebody feels aggrieved. Some people were butchered. They were killed. They were disenfranchised. And you want us to just, walk away and not discuss it? We can't. That's the best way to move forward.
So you're looking for closure.
Thank you.
Closure. Okay. All right. I remember you can join us on the course of our conversation this morning. 3 topics, 1 done. Let's talk about the second one, which I'm just trying to wrap my head around how in the past 10 years or more, it's now very tough for us to move within the country. My younger brother called me on Tuesday and said he was traveling to Jos and they had to do a road trip. I couldn't breathe.
That's scary.
I couldn't breathe until he went to Jos and came back. If he had to fly, fine, but they had to do things on the road. So I was worried all through.
That's risky.
That's what I'm trying to talk about because of terrorism, banditry, insecurity all over the country, and you're wondering what is going on. In spite the gallantry of our soldiers, I already, praised them this morning, which I do all the time. Believe me, I say a little prayer
for them. That's so kind.
Our soldiers every day.
That's
not only our
good.
soldiers, our security operatives, and our doctors.
That's very good.
And of course, the nations of the world.
That is
but
very
especially
good.
to the soldiers, because
that's very
maybe
good.
I would have been one.
I wanted to be a soldier.
I was tough enough.
I wanted to be a soldier at a point. Maybe I would have been one too. But that's so powerful. I think I will emulate you. I'll start doing that. I've never prayed for our soldiers. Maybe I should add that to my prayer point.
Very interesting.
I think we should.
Terrorism in the country.
How did we come about this?
Yeah.
The indices were there. The foundations were there. It's like training a child. You didn't train the child on manners, and he now becomes an adult, and you expect him to be polite. So
and Yoruba will say in Koto back only
so
but
they're
to
teaching us now.
those who don't speak Yoruba, if you didn't listen, you didn't heed the advice of your parents at home, their upbringing, they will teach you the hard way outside. You will learn them.
So we are learning the hard way now. We are learning the hard way. When we have selfishness in governance, self-centeredness, and lack of consideration for people. I grew up with a mantra from my mom. That mantra used to be very annoying for me. I thought she was nagging. And she says it in this way. She says it in Yoruba, but I'll say it in English. She said, be considerate. Don't think of yourself alone. Be considerate. The one that is classic for me was one day my brother packed food and he was about to eat. And my mom said, only you will eat that food? Are you not thinking of your siblings, what they will eat? Go and pour some out. What she was saying then looked to me like a nagging mother, but it's one of the most important value systems that I live with today. Be considerate for others. So if I'm eating now, I'm thinking of the big portion of the meat should go to my children because they need it to grow. I'm already grown. So why should I eat 4 meats? I grew up with seeing adults pack for the daddies, they'll pack 4 meats for the daddy. Then the children will be sharing meat. That's where it started from. And we took that to our politics. So our political leaders feel very entitled to share. That's why the cost of governance, of running the office of the governor or a commissioner is so expensive. And that's why the money is not going down to the people that need it.
You know, we have Benjamin calling us from Imo State. Benjamin, good morning. Thanks for joining us on News Hub. Good morning, Benjamin.
Hello.
Good morning. Hello.
Yeah, it was about the issue that...
We can hear you, Benjamin.
I know you can hear me.
Please go ahead.
It was about the issue that you people raised about history being erased from Nigerian schools. It's kind of absurd that in Nigeria you will have to erase history because some kind of people are offended. You know, you don't have to erase history. You just have to do like what the other guy said there. You just have to set up a committee actually for peace and truth, actually. So I really want to appeal to the government if they can. They should just bring back this history so that people can know where they are coming from and where they are going to. Some people are being misinformed. Some people are misinformed, actually. Some people are being told a kind of lies like this. You might call it a beer parlor argument or so, but there are people who buy into it. So in this issue, if people are informed properly and people are told the truth, there won't be any cause for going into any beer parlor argument, actually. So I'm trying to appeal to the government if they can bring real history, not this kind of boju history. Like they should bring up real history because some people are actually feeling that you can't kill some people out there and expect me to forget about it because this is what their parents told them and this is what people told them. But if they bring up history like this, with time they will get to understand it. That's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Benjamin, for being part of the show. I think people will still clamor for history in spite of it all, while others are saying let the sleeping doctor lie, or say there's need for closure because in spite of, we've had the national conference, and I remember that history tells me that Gowon then said that there was no victor, no vanquished, but people still feel that they were defeated. They feel like they were, defeated and still feel like they're not being treated well.
Issues that were unresolved,
so to speak.
Let me excite you a little bit.
Yes.
I was at a conference speaking recently, and there was an argument I was invited to after the conference, and there's this young man who was arguing, and guess what the argument was about? Herbert Macaulay, the name Herbert Macaulay to him is the name of a colonialist. And people told him no. He said no. Herbert Macaulay. I said no. Herbert Macaulay is a Nigerian. He's the grandson of Samuel Ajayi. The guy said no. This guy is a lawyer. And I asked him for how old. He said he's going to be 30 in December. As at the time we were speaking, he was 29. So I said to myself, if this is your age and this is the knowledge you have of Nigerian history, then we are in trouble.
And so I think we keep going on that. So you're free to call in. Let's reroute to the terrorism we're talking about, the causes of terrorism, especially in the northeast, in fact, the northern part of the country, where we had education at almost the lowest ebb. At that time, you had some states being described as educationally disadvantaged, where you had cutoff mark put at even 80, 90, while in the southern part of the country, even from the east down to the south of the country, you have very high and, let me say, Rhine kind of cutoff mark. But when you get down to the northern part, and then we began to see young people returning to school.
Yeah.
I was shocked when, I was not shocked, I was pleased when I heard that they had about 800 students in a school, only to be sad that 800 of them were abducted by insurgents, which meant to me at that point in time that people were beginning to embrace Western education in spite of it all. Yeah. We want to say we knew where it came from, but where are we presently, especially from that part of the country, moving down to the south?
It's pretty sad. I have a lot of friends from that part of the world who value education. They esteem education. I
do too, countless.
And contrary to the general belief, but in every community we always have the extremists. And one of the value system of those extremists is the fact that Western education should not be tolerated. Not for religious beliefs, but to disempower the people, to disenfranchise the people, because they know that a people educated, a people informed, is a people empowered. So for you to have people continue to defer to you, to continue to worship you, you have to keep them disenfranchised. And to disenfranchise is to cause them to be in a state where they cannot think for themselves, and they'll have to look up to you. So it has become a cultural, even for survival, it has become a cultural structure. While I used to live in Abuja, it was this Friday, I was going out with a friend of mine, we were going to go to the bank. And I said, oh, he needed to stop somewhere. He didn't disclose the location to me. And it happened to be the home of a powerful government representative who was in power at the time. And I saw the line of queue. I was wondering, okay, today is Friday, maybe people are going to the mosque. He said, no, that they've come to collect the share of the national cake for the week. You look at the implication of that. Now, look at the generation, and this thing that I'm telling you was about many years ago. Now, look at the generation that has evolved after that. Some of them are revolting to that idea of having to carry plates and carry spoon to go and be begging somebody. They want it because they see the lifestyle and they desire that kind of lifestyle. They also want to ride in that kind of car. They see where your children are. Your children are going abroad. When you do weddings for your children, they look at the glamour. So they too, they say to themselves, I can have this kind of life. That is that's the example I was giving when I said we pack 4 meat for the father, all the meat in the pot, we pack it for the father of the house to eat. And he will eat it instead of giving the meat to the young children who deserve the energy. They are the ones who need. They are the ones whose calories are burning. At that age, the father's calorie has gone down. It's slowed down. So give the big meals to the children to eat so that they can grow, they can have energy. And once they have energy, you don't give them direction where to dispense the energy. In this case, our fathers have eaten all the big meats, deprived the children of the energy. Now the energy they have is natural energy that is burning, but they don't know where to use it. So because I said nature abhors vacuum, they have to look for where to express it. And looking for where to express it, where there's no direction, no education, the next thing is crime and insecurity. Do
you think federal government and states across border are handling this the best way ever?
Are they handling it? Before we begin to do comparison of how best, how good, are they handling it at all?
We have defense budgets deployed. We have our troops. It's saying that we seem to a lot of people that we're not acknowledging efforts of military men and women who even ultimately had died.
If it is to acknowledge the efforts of the military men, I'm sorry to cut you short. I'm wondering, we are not denying the fact that our military guys are taking steps, but how well have they been encouraged? I think we are endangering the lives of our military men much more than we're actually interested in wanting to solve the problem, so that we can have something to say to the news. That's why we put the guys there, without ammunition, without equipment, without protection.
Without or with insufficient or inadequate. Okay. Because when you say, see, we're on national television, so and we have to present these cases the way they are. If we're saying with none, so
that's why I asked, it wasn't a statement, it was a question. No, it was a question because the issue is is a debate nationally, and nobody has been able to give an answer to it. Some of the military guys picked their phones, recorded themselves, and told us the narrative. So we're hearing from the guys who are at the forefront. Recently, I don't know how true it is, but I don't know. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me it was a doctored video that they said that was an airplane shooting at our soldiers, and it was a Nigerian airplane. How true is that? So we have so many conflicting information. We don't know.
I was being refuted by the government, and of course I heard that there was some in accidents which were clarified by the military then. Very sad.
So
you see, are you saying now that there is no end in sight? Is that how you feel?
The end in sight will only be from the communication that we receive from our leaders to encourage us, to encourage the soldiers. When the American soldiers are fighting war, their president will just show up unannounced. What's he there to show up for? To encourage them, to ginger them, to motivate them, to tell them, look, we are here, you are not alone. They personally write letters to their family members. Do we have statistics and names of our soldiers who are dying at the battlefront? Do we have anybody visiting their families with flowers and with moments of, of empathy and to show respect? Do we have anybody doing that? Do you have anybody going to their homes, looking into the welfare of their children and the schooling? They die, they are buried, we hear about it, and that's nothing. That's the only thing that can communicate that this thing is being handled. I'm not saying do it for showmanship. We do a lot of things for showmanship. I'm saying do it genuinely, so that when somebody wants to give his life to the country, you are doing it because you love your country and that's what you signed up for.
All right.
And it is worth the value.
All right. So yeah, we're still going to stay on that topic, that topic, so to speak. Just in the course of the week, President Muhammadu Buhari was one of the leaders in Africa that were in a virtual meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, and the president came out, according to the statement released by the special advisor to the president on media publicity, Femi Adesina. The president called for help from the United States and some other Western countries to help in the fight against terrorism. I want to know your view on that call, which has also formed a source of debate for some people. But after this short break,
thank you.
You stay with us. You're still watching News Hub.
The fight against COVID-19 is far from over. We are presently in the community transmission phase. Unfortunately, this is the most deadly part of its spread, and it's more prevalent in high-density areas. Don't become a statistic. Wash your hands frequently with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer, and remember to practice physical distancing at all times and avoid crowded places. But if you have no choice, you have the choice of wearing a face mask. Remember, it's not over till it's really over. This is a message from the Silverbird Group.
For more news stories, kindly visit our website www.silverbirdnews24.com. You can also watch trending news videos on our YouTube channel. We are just a click away on WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Get the news in your palm on your mobile phone by downloading Silverbird News24 from your Play or App Store. File in your witness report on our website or send an email to silverbirdn24@gmail.com.
Thanks for staying with us on News Hub. It's open day, the day very special for you. You can call in at this point. The numbers to reach us on will be on your screen in just a moment. Reach us on the top 3 stories of the week. In case you missed out, we're taking a look at governance and citizens' participation, terrorism, as well as the planned electricity tariff, which is supposed to take off in the month of July. So before the break, Toye, and I see have in the house interest in Toye Sobande. Before the break, I put the question across to you that the federal government, the president did ask, made a request of the United States and other Western countries and other allies, so to speak, to come to our aid in the fight against insurgency.
I commend the president for doing that. We've been waiting for it for a long time, long before now, because you recall in 2020 February, the U.S. government then announced for security issues, they restricted certain categories of visas to Nigerian leaders, and it was because of the security issue. And they felt one of the reports stated that the Nigerian government has not been very cooperative. They refused to release exchange on security information and all of that, which was pretty sad. So to hear the president actually coming out now, it's quite commendable. We want to hear more from the president.
Isn't it? Wasn't that too late? Because that was the argument. Some people are saying that that's too late. That when Boko Haram, although it was not in government when the first abduction that happened, Chibok girls in 2014. There's May 14, 2014 occurred, but that since it got into power, that in fact One of the reasons it was voted into power was because they believed what it did to the might seen in the past could be replicated, and then the insecurity would be a thing of the past.
Exactly.
What's your view?
The expectations for this government was very high. Very high.
Especially in terms of security.
Yeah, it was very high. But again, because we have a very volatile political climate, when information comes into the public space, we don't know which one is being politicized, which one is the truth, and which one is being used for political gains. So people's trust are eroded. And trust is a valuable currency for governance. If people don't trust what you say, they don't hold your words as important. So that's why you see those reactions from people saying it is late. I don't want to believe this government is totally irresponsible in terms of responding to security issues. I only think the issue is the lack of trust in what the government says or what government officials says. And it's been an experience for Nigerians over the years. So when people are not trusting, they take everything with a pinch of salt. They won't. So that's a major issue. So because the government came in with a lot of goodwill, their hopes and aspirations were so high, but it just went down so low. That is why you see that reaction of people saying it's too late. It's commendable, however, the back end. What formal structures, I'm not a security expert, but I can think through it. What formal structure has been put into place to follow up on that request? Because just recently, there are claims that when this new government came in, they cancelled the security contract. The previous government engaged a military attaché or military mercenary, being funded by the US to help, and they said they had the Boko Haram guys under what they were about to catch them, and all of that. We don't know how true that is.
Well, that's not verified.
It's unverified. So the government needs to earn the trust of the people in order for us to believe them, to know that they're actually doing this call from...
Toye, wait. No, you see, a call, the United States would always be very, when it comes to international relations and diplomacy and everything, and put things subtly, but an EU envoy did not mince words a couple of days ago while addressing the Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
He said that it feels as if our issue is beyond redemption. That's what a layman would see that to be.
Yes.
Do you think we're beyond redemption when it comes to the state of insecurity in the country?
If we refuse to talk, we are beyond redemption.
But we're talking, and they're saying that we have multidimensional problems, that it seems very cumbersome for
Our
them.
problems cannot be solved.
Insecurity of all the problems, Toye.
Is number one. We have to solve it.
That's the one we're
now.
asking them to come.
Yeah, we need to be open and honest about it and stop politicizing it. That's where the problem is. We are politicizing we are politicizing the security issue. If we stop politicizing it, when we don't stop, we'll see a lot of people coming up because the opposition are preparing for elections. They are preparing to want to take over. They will also want to discredit anything the government says. So that's why I recommended that one thing this government should work on in trying to resolve security issues in this country is to earn the trust of the people.
All right, Toye.
That's it.
I speak with Tunde. He's calling us from Kaduna. Tunde, it's so nice to have you join us in this conversation. Good morning.
Sean, good morning.
Good morning, Tunde.
Yeah. You see, your guest has already spoken. This government, right from 2015 to date, they have not been consistent in giving factual information to the public. And when there is no trust between the government and the governed, definitely the lacuna that is there will be filled by the enemies of the government. And that is what we are experiencing today. And for government to hold on to, we failed in this area, we failed in this area, they refused to accept it. Instead of accepting their failures, they are politicizing their failure and blaming the opposition, PDP, for all their woes. And that is the problem we are having. We are not saying they have not achieved, but where they have failed, they should hold on to it. And that is when Nigerians will be able to cooperate with the government and move the country forward. That is the problem we are having in Nigeria today. Thank you.
For that contribution. I think this will be a conversation many people will keep talking. Remember, you also can join us on our social media handles and submit whatever you think can move this nation forward, especially in our fight against terrorism and other forms of insecurity in the country. Let's switch gears now because we have to close to the third topic, which is the planned electricity tariff for the month of July. If you remember, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) ordered DISCOs to increase the electricity tariff effective January 1, 2021, which was this year, and that brought about a lot of hues and cries, and that was suspended. But we hear that it just as it could be ascribed to the issue in on oil, it's a petrol, so to speak, that the subsidy is killing the government. We hear that there is also some differentials when it comes to how we pay for electricity, and so we're supposed to be paying more. Are you bracing up to
for
pay
this?
So
it's sad, you know, like they say in our language, a bad word causes you to laugh sometimes. I don't know that I said it, or you know, I know that. So laughing doesn't mean it's exciting, but it's just so sad, and the coping mechanism is just to laugh it off. Nigerians are under immense pressure already. Every facet now, the cost of living is high. Transportation, everything is high. Electricity is an essential need in people's lives. To increase the tariff now, I'm not saying there's no justification for it, but is the light constant? If it is constant, then it can be justifiable. See, I grew up with a father who sacrificed for me. And sacrificed not only for me, for myself and my siblings. And I can never forget something he told me when I was young. He said, listen, young man, I have 4 of your siblings in university already. He said the cost of sending you to university is ×2 of putting the 4 together. He said, the car you are clamoring for, because I was asking him to buy a new car, that our car is old. He said, the car you are clamoring for is not an essential need right now. It does not guarantee the future. He said, what guarantees the future is that I give you the best of education. He said, if I put that money into the car now, I'll deprive you of the education that you deserve. He said, so that's why I'm not buying the car, because he promised us he was going to change his car. So I was looking for, I've told all my friends.
You're a father now. You
I know it works now. So I'm very careful making promises to kids. So what I'm saying in essence is that there should be a fatherly approach that empathizes with people's condition, people's situation, in how we communicate some of these things. We need to get PR experts who can package the bad news in a good way and that people can take it.
Toye, let's get real. The government has never shied away from saying how economically challenged. I was going to say broke, so I was trying to search for the right word, a better word to use in the country, hence our borrowings. And that if you check history of countries who had gone through depression, even in their economies, the citizens had to pay for it.
No doubt.
So it would mean that they would have to pay higher taxes, maybe subsidies would have to be removed and all of that. And then it will mean that it will lessen borrowings because citizens will be willing to bear the brunt for maybe X, Y, Z time when we exit such a tough time and then be able to live a normal life. Are you looking at the possibility of that? One moment, please. Are you looking at the possibility of that? But let's speak with Larry, who's joining us from Lagos. Larry, good morning. Thanks for joining us on Lean's Hub.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Larry. So nice to have you on the program.
Yeah. Please, I just want to make this contribution. Now, I have traveled to the north. The villages, the distance between the villages in the north is very far. And these terrorists, it's easier for them to attack these villages. They cannot come to Lagos. They cannot come to Ibadan. They cannot come to Abeokuta because there's a show up. When you attack people in Lagos, you cannot escape. But in the north, music is happening in about 10. It's easy for people to go there and kill them, to make names. So they should ask all these villages for the time being History will change. It can never be the same thing. Let them come together, form a big town, and it will be difficult for these terrorists to come and attack them. So our military are trying. How many weapons they got? The villages are too far. I've been there. So that is number one. Number two, I will advise Lagos State is they are trying. They should employ more security outfits, private security outfits, to stay at different junctions. Because if a crime is committed, between here and Tango, you will not meet a security man. Then who are you going to report to? Then after they must have gone, the police will down care up, they start running everybody. So Tinubu has made a comment, but the people never capitalize on it.
All right, Larry.
He said they should increase the security. Please.
Can you just wrap up in 10 seconds? Because I know you almost get to the climax of your submission. Are you there, Larry?
Thank you.
And maybe in just 10 seconds, if you can just wrap up. Oh, apologies. Oh, thank you so much, Larry. I guess he was able to submit what he had there. Before the break, I did ask you on citizens' participation in not just only politics or security, but also in understanding government and showing support, empathy, in spite of maybe the shortcomings of the said government, knowing that the leadership is also the followership, if you look at it. Do you think it's something that the followership should be considering?
I'm looking at it from my expertise as a leadership consultant.
Yeah.
How do you break a bad news to someone?
Hopefully not. No bad news at all.
So there's a communication expertise that is required in communicating bad news, such that the person will be understanding. There's a way to tell somebody you are stupid in a polite way, isn't it? There's a way to insult someone in a polite way without the person, just pass the message in a soft way. So can we have communication experts craft this thing to paint a hope for a better future for Nigerians, such that, that's the reason why people go to church a lot and go to the mosque, because they see hope in God. They are fired up. That's where they get answers to their prayers. Can we adopt that principle of giving Nigerians hope for a better future while we communicate the need for them to sacrifice now for a better tomorrow? You can't ask me to sacrifice when there is no guarantee for tomorrow.
Nurudeen is joining us now from Edo State. Nurudeen, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the program.
I think your guest in the studio, I share all of the points he had made, particularly as it relates to the issue of sacrifice on the part of leadership. Until and unless leadership is prepared to make sacrifice, we are not going anywhere. Here we talk about security. Averagely, the 36 state governors take home, pocket, speculate, or defecate resources that represent our common patrimony in the name of security vote, in the neighborhood of over 20-25 billion every 30 days. Do you know what that could do? If you had used that to generate employment, the economic precarity we talked about would not have been there. Nigerians are cascading into that asphyxiating chasm of despondency as a result of the wrong persons in position of leadership. People on the floor of the house are crying. This is plain to the gallery. You have not told me as a senator, reduce what I earn so that we can create more jobs for people. You come and play to the gallery, secure us. What you take, the homologous pay you pay, is partly responsible for why we cannot properly fund the military, the one who goes to die at the war front and gets peanuts. It explains why we can't get jobs for people until and unless we are prepared to don the wrapper of integrity.
All right, Nurudeen.
As people will start dealing with those situations of leadership, who have manifested the fact that they are pathologically linked in integrity. If we don't deal with this issue, we are all pretending. If we don't talk about separation, this tendency and stuff like
All
that,
right, Nurudeen.
every one particular part of this country where you say the society is homogeneous, it doesn't exist anywhere.
We thank you so much for your contribution this morning. I saw you nodding to his submission, so
For me, Nigerians have sacrificed a lot. We've been sacrificing for our leaders for years. You know, there's one thing that was on my mind I didn't want to say, but he said it. Look at the amount of money we vote for security for our executives. It's like a father who is buying new suits, new wristwatches, new shoes at the expense of paying for his children's school fees. It's a responsibility. Is the life of the governor more precious than the life of the Nigerian? Or the life of the president, or the life of the ministers? I'm not saying they don't need security. I'm not denying the fact. But Nigerians have sacrificed a lot. You are asking us to sacrifice for now so that we can get a better Nigeria. The question is, how much sacrifice are our leaders making themselves? They are not in touch with reality of what is going on in the market. How many of them go to the market in Oyinbo to buy daily items, to buy food items? Are they in touch with the reality of the cost of transportation? Are they paying for fuel? Are they paying for electricity? We have it on good authority that most of the people in governance don't pay for DSTV. I'm sorry I'm saying this.
you should not mention the name of brands you pay.
Thank you.
All right, Toye.
But the truth of the matter is, how much sacrifice are they making?
All right, that's a big question. Let's speak with Emeka. Emeka is calling us now from Imo State. Emeka, good morning. Thanks for joining us on News Hub. Good morning, Emeka. KJ.
Thank you so much. Yes, I have been watching and listening to you people with keen interest. Indeed, we all know that the problem of Nigeria is based on insecurity. But like your guest has been saying, we are so much politicizing on this issue. Nobody wants to get through. I'm going to say it now, including your guest here. Because we all know what we are not supposed to do. But then, at the end of the day, after condemning your opponent or somebody else, you still go back and do the same thing. We are not saying that this problem cannot be solved. It can be solved if we are very sincere and honest with ourselves. But we are not sincere. Think of the leaders themselves. We call them the leaders. Who are the leaders? Those who have been elected to govern us, to cannot be expressed for us. But they are only interested in their own welfare. For this issue of insecurity, I have to say it now. Very sorry, I have to say it. Our president has not done much as he should do to make sure that this insecurity is caused. We know who to ask what have we been doing.
Emeka.
I still should this assignment. What did you do? People are calling on my name and not you. What have you done? But if the president is
Emeka, 10 seconds, please, because we have to give other people the opportunity to talk as well.
Yes,
please go ahead, 10 seconds.
I'm just rounding up.
All right.
What I'm saying is that let us all be honest. Whether you are from the north, whether you are from the west, whether you are from the south, wherever you come from, let us all be honest and address the issue once and for all. God bless you.
All right, Emeka. Thank you so much. It would be very wrong for anybody to say that the government is not doing anything. I'm not the spokesperson for the government.
I don't agree with that.
I mean, the government may not be doing enough, but saying that any government is not doing anything at all would be, to me, an insult on the people who have died.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, coming from a very, on humanitarian grounds, that it would be so wrong. However, thanks for your submission, because when my mom would say something that when a woman still seeks the fruit of the womb and she's not pregnant, she may deny anything going on behind the closed doors. But once a woman comes out and you see her pregnant, you see that this is the fruit of the labor. So when people feel secure within the society, maybe they will talk less about this.
Yes.
So you were on a line of discussion before.
I was saying that whilst it's necessary for us to increase the tariff, why is it necessary for us to make economic adjustments and encourage Nigerians also to sacrifice? I'm saying that the way we package the information should not be such that it becomes very depressing and sodden for Nigerians.
But I'm now seeing a planned hike in tariff for July. In April, isn't supposed to be sudden.
But don't people run their finances on budgets? Are we expecting that people will get an increase before July?
Where would you have expected them to?
What I'm saying is, irrespective of the timeline, there's a way to communicate it
In
order
what way,
to
Toye?
cushion the effect of
Okay.
that tariff on people. Give them alternative, give them options, give them consideration. Most people now are resorting to alternative sources of power.
Which is even more
is
expensive
even
than the
more
money they're
expensive.
going to pay, even they're being overcharged
Now,
by the electricity
we are now leading
providers.
people to crime, because rather than do that, people will subvert the process of electrification in the area.
All right, one moment, please. Tunde is back with us. I think he has
Oh.
something to say.
Okay.
Tunde, it's so nice to have you back on the program. Tunde,
Good show.
yes, please. Please go ahead.
I'm back again on the issue of governance and citizen participation.
Yeah.
I think the problem is on the government side. You see, during Babangida, there was a program, MAMSA and DFREE. And Professor Jerry Ghana, at that time, took this issue of MAMSA and DFREE to every nook and crannies of Nigeria. That you will know that it seems even in dry season, you will think that rain was even dropping, because he was able to reach the nook and crannies of Nigerian villages. But today, Ministry of Information have refused to allow National Orientation Agency to do their legitimate and primary job for Nigerians.
Tunde, that's an accusation. Why would you say that the Ministry of Information, you can't verify that? Because the NOA is an agency under the Ministry of Information, and you can't say that they are not allowing them. However, you can go ahead with your criticism, but not allowing them all. Verify.
The Ministry of Information, the NOA
If you have,
is supposed to be the
you
one
can prove it.
that's supposed to carry this thing along.
I'm all ears today.
The Ministry of Information is supposed to give the able hand to National Orientation Agency, whose responsibility is to diffuse the mind of Nigerians from carrying any propaganda against the government concerning this insecurity. Now, have they been able to diffuse the mind of ordinary Nigerians that the level with which they carry insecurity to, it is not so in this country? I stayed in the north.
All right, Tunde, can we do this in 10 seconds, if you don't mind, because of time? Okay. Are you there, Tunde?
So
can we wrap up in 10 seconds?
They need to reorientate. They need to reorientate Nigerians. They need to reorientate Nigerians to knowing that the level of insecurity we say we have, it is not so.
All right, Tunde. I think you made your point, and apologies if you thought I came down on you very hard. It's just very important that we're giving information out to people. And I guess the better choice of what it would have said, maybe the NOA has not been as effective as it used to be.
Exactly, true.
And then we've been asking why.
I think that's what he intends to say.
Yeah. We have to round off in 30 seconds, Toye. Looking forward, do you see the light at the end of the tunnel for the country, based on all the things we've discussed and others that we still will talk about in days to come?
Thank you. You know, I was thinking of a song yesterday by this guy, Juju, something. A song will shine at the end of the day. And
Lighthouse Family. Sounds gonna shine.
But this Nigerian guy, no, not
okay,
that one.
Timi Dakolo.
No, not Timi Dakolo.
You don't even know music.
I know. His name is in my head. It's just to pronounce it. I heard the song, one of the studios I visited, and that song was quite encouraging for me. He's saying, don't worry, at the end of the day, the song will shine. And that was the prayer I prayed for Nigeria this morning as I was thinking of it. I think even though you're going to ask me this question, I just said, you know what? The sun should have to shine. Give Nigerians hope. So I've taken it on myself, just like he was encouraging. That's what Professor Jerry Ghana did during his time. Master communicator. He gave hope to this nation at a point with the adverts, with the campaign he was doing. We need that moment now. We need somebody in Nigerian leadership who can give hope to Nigerians.
Maybe we should deploy more resources. I think the call has been made to the Federal Ministry of Information to deploy more resources to the national orientation agencies.
Than actually giving Nigerians, communicating the objective and the achievement of the government.
All right.
They are more reactionary.
Toye Sobande.
Thank you.
It's been fantastic having you on this today.
Thank you so much for the privilege.
So thank you so much for your time and thoughts. I want to thank all our callers, all the messages you sent to us via social media handles. If you couldn't get through to us, we always say try another time because you're the reason we're here. We want to wish you a very happy weekend. Stay safe. COVID-19 is still in town. Don't let down your guard. Wear your nose mask, maintain social distancing, and wash your hands regularly. And above all, spread the news that we still need to be very careful. I wish for a better Nigeria, and I wish you a beautiful weekend. I am Shu Oyedeji. Good morning.